June 8th, 26th, meeting of the Bethlehem Township Planning Board of Orders, 7:38 p.m. After notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with section 3D of chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Sunshine Law. Roll call, please.
Paul Muir. Jose Reyes.
Here.
Jeff Coletti. Ken Shalay.
Here.
Jose Maderos.
Here.
Philip Bellin.
Here.
Grace Ann Kelly.
Here.
Brad Nelson.
Here.
Ryan Messinger.
Here.
Steve DiLorenzo.
Here.
Lonnie McDonald.
Here.
Scott Wilhelm.
Here.
Tom Decker.
Here. The advice of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have a new member tonight. Electa Parliament. Can you stand up and raise your right hand, please?
Did you need to go get it?
You want
The Bible.
Oh, that's up to her. No. Okay, I say your name.
Alex Parham,
You solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the
to
same,
the same,
and to the governments established in the United States,
and to the government established in the United States,
and in this state under the authority of the people.
and in this state under the authority of the people.
Congratulations. Any motion to open the public agenda comments?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any comments from the public about agenda items for tonight?
I don't know how the order is correct, but I do have comments on Leon Chapman's there.
That's a separate application. This is the agenda comments.
Okay.
Motion to close the public?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, with that, we have the lot 3, lot 10 application for 2026-01. Leon Jackson, all variance request. So at this time, I will be recusing myself from the application, because I'm looking to indicate the applicant, and Monica is also looking to indicate the applicant, and she'll be recusing herself. So at this point, I will hand it over to Ms. Davis. Thank you,
Mr. Chairman. As Mr. Shalay said, I'm the vice chairman, so I'll be taking over for this application only. Bear with me if we have any issues, but and Cindy will be covering for Monica, and so everything will be separate, completely separate for this application from other normal business. So with that, we open this hearing for a bulk variance request for block 3, lot 10. Application number 2026-01 DK. Applicant is Lee Shackins. And
Mr. Minnie, we'll go further. This is the applicant's attorney, Mr. Boro. I just want to go through a couple things real quick here. Typically, this board marks the application in exhibit A1, so if they're okay with that, we'll do that.
Yep.
And we have the CV, Mr. Candle, who specified he has report too, so we'll make that A2 because he's in your witness, right?
Yep.
And then, whatever you're gonna put up there, we'll make that A3, so we can talk about that. Do you anticipate any other exhibits?
I do not at this point unless.
Okay,
Yeah,
to be determined. Okay, for starters.
great,
Thank you.
thank you. And Mr. Vice Chair, rest of the planning board, good to see you all again. My name is Kyle Poro with Poro Legal, based in Montclair. I'm here today on behalf of applicant Leon Shakin, 132 County Road 579 in Bethlehem, as stated before, block 3, lot 10. Currently, the property is a vacant lot. It is proposed to be a single-family home. I'm going to really let our expert get really right into it. But I do want to note right at the outset that this is the mountain residential zone, which does permit these applications. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the real star of the show and call up our expert.
How are you? Good. Will you raise your right hand? You swear or affirm the testimony that you've given this matter will be the truth to the best of your ability.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name.
Adam Candil, last name spelled Kandil. And I'm a professional engineer. My license is in good standing.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chairman, I've had the opportunity to review CV and Mr. Kendall has testified here before, so I recommend that we stipulate his expertise in any. Thank you.
Good evening. So just gonna walk through and just want to make sure that everybody is able to see from over here. If I'm sitting here, is that good for everybody? Okay, so this is the property in question is 132 County Road 579, more specifically known as Lot 10. Lot, you want me to pull back? More specifically known as Lot 10, Block 3 in the township of Bethlehem. Now, there is a triangle portion of the site in the front that is located here.
Can you stand on the other side
Yeah.
so we could see?
I just don't want to set these people here, but maybe is there a better way? I can turn it? Huh?
Well, move the board this way, you can stand on the other side.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Can the public see?
No.
No. Yeah.
If I put it right there,
Cindy, did we pass out maps to every the board members? Because everything that is shown, we should have.
That is what
was submitted.
you already have.
So then it's for. Mr. Vice Chairman, maybe from the public.
Yeah, I would say if you use the board for the public, then we have our own.
Okay. So then maybe I'll stay where I was there if you guys are looking back and point, so.
And turn the board so they can see. We all have a mini version here.
Now, just make sure that you address each. Just make sure that you address each page if you're going over, a little bit, we can be on the right page.
So we'll do
Thank
it,
you.
Chairman. So I'm referring to sheet CO1 that was submitted. This is my cover sheet, which has also the zoning information on the front of it, and it also has plot plan showing the location of where the house is in reference to where the septic is and the trees and landscaping as well as the driveway. So again, just continuing, this is again lot 10, block 3, township of Bethlehem. And the front triangle of the site is in the township of Alexandria, which are blocks 9 and 9.01. Block 1 in the township of Alexandria. All in Henry County. The subject property that we're looking at is we're looking at 1.638 acres. After the dedication, 1.638 acres, and this is in the MR Mountain Residential Zone. Now, we are looking for, so the zone, the site as it is an existing variance, just for the size of the lot, which is 1.638, and again, depending on if we're in Alexandria or not, I'm just gonna refer as 1.638. So we have an existing, existing lot area, where 5 acres is required. This is a smaller lot, compared to that. Now, with regards to variances, so we are looking for a front yard variance, but just for the record, I'll go through all the components and then I'll go back to the ones that look for variance. So with regards to the minimum lot width is, and again, I'm gonna look at the modified because in Mr. Decker's report, he also notated that with the revised lot area, I'm gonna use those numbers just for the record, so I established that, so. When it comes to the front yard setback, 75 is required, we're proposing 50.16. And you can see from the exhibit here that we actually have up until the property line. 96.37 feet up to the current property line, but that's prior to us giving a dedication for that county road. And also, if we look at Alexandria, being that township line as being the front yard, not encompassing the Alexandria property, then we fall below the 75-foot requirement, which is 50.16. So that is a variance that we're seeking or relief for the 50.16. Whereas we see that if you go to the actual property line, we do conform with it, but just, based off the ordinance and the zoning, we're showing that as a variance. And then continuing on as the bulk requirements, so the side yard, we are conforming with the 50-foot side yards. We are, the rear yard, we're conforming with the 100-foot rear yard, where we have 303 and 63 feet. Stories were less than 2.5 stories, so we conform with that. Building height, which I'll get to also, I know there was a question on Mr. Decker's report regarding consistencies on my number and the architect, but I'll get to that, and that we do plan to conform. And the accessory buildings, we are not proposing any accessory buildings. Now, with regards to the building coverage, so the building and the lot coverage, those are things that I want to give more clarification, because again, when we remove the lot area for Alexandria, that then makes our building cover, it modifies our building coverage. So as stated on my table that you're looking at, the maximum percent of building coverage is 3.02. When we make that modification based off of just our lot in Bethlehem, that becomes 3.16. And then also with regards to the maximum impervious coverage, as per my table, it's 6.32. When we make that adjustment to remove what's in Alexandria and focus on only Bethlehem, it's 5.24%, which would be the impervious coverage. So throughout, those are the three variances that we're seeking. Or we have the front yard that we're seeking that variance, and then in above and beyond that, we have also a steep slopes variance that we're looking for, which is the critical area in accordance with the ordinance section 102-38A, parentheses 5A. So we're looking for relief with regards to that, and we're also looking for relief with regards to disturbance within the severely sloped areas that are over 20%. So those are identified on us, and although the numbers are being modified, I'm just giving that for clarification because the lot is within 2 towns. So I just want to clarify those numbers because that was requested by the board's professional engineer. With regards to the height, so with the architect, the height on the architectural plans that the latest and greatest is I'm gonna give you the exact number. And then if anybody has questions, I can go more detail, but the overall number on the architect's plan, when we look at the ridge between the peak and the grade, it's 21.5 from the finished floor to the peak height. So 21.5. And our average grade from our civil drawings is 6.57. So that comes out to 28.07. We do plan on conforming. We are not looking for relief with regards to building height. So even if it was plus or minus, we would be maintaining that, but that is, for the record, the height that we are coordinated on, myself and the architect. With regards to also the septic, so we have the septic, the disposal field is actually a reserve, although the reserve is within the setbacks. So one of the requirements as per Bethlehem is that the actual septic disposal field has to be entirely within the building. So that's ordinance section 102-29C. And as you can see with this extremely irregular shaped lot, and it has both a county road, so you have a 75-foot setback on both legs of that road, 579. We're encroaching on the front yard setback, which is you're almost looking at as the rear of the property when you're looking at it, this being the front, but it is a front yard. So as that sits right now, we are seeking relief for that in accordance with the ordinance. So that's with regards to the application. And also, I mean, although it's not for this board, we also have evaluated that the impervious coverage that we have in Alexandria, it meets the requirements of Alexandria as well, just for that impervious that's coming in. And that comes out to an impervious coverage of, and I know it's not necessarily for this board, but I want to get on record, 6.76% of our impervious areas in Alexandria as it stands now as well. But those are essentially the reliefs and the requirements that we're looking for. And if any questions from the board or neighbors or anybody, I'd be more than happy to answer.
If I could just hop in real quick before we get to you guys, I want to talk a little bit about the driveway location. If we
Yeah.
could, and the county's input and kind of why it landed where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, so the driveway where it is now is to so to benefit from that corner there, but also we took the areas that are most, I guess, the mildest slopes that we have. Because we didn't want to maximize our disturbance within the severe slope, so we were looking for the flattest area to actually start with our driveway. And it meanders a little bit to give us some length, so it's not steep, so that we can conform with the ordinance. Steep, because the ordinance has a certain steepness on the actual driveway as well, so that is why the location of the driveway is there. Above and beyond that as well, we also have a underground stormwater management system, so we do have a dry well, a dry well that's located to the right of the site, and that also collects the stormwater management, and the distance of that dry well meets the requirements of the distance being away from the disposal field as well, because there's certain requirements if you have a well, a dry well, and or a disposal field.
Right, so then given basically everything you just said, the fact that it's kind of this corner-ish type line, you have different towns, you would contemplate moving this to, maybe reduce some of these variances, or is this really the best one that it could be?
Yeah, in design, and when we're contemplating the design, at all aspects of the design, we're always looking to minimize variance. If we can walk in here without variances, we would prefer to do that. So all the variances that we're seeking are essentially necessary for us to be able to make this proposal.
Thank you, that's it for me.
Do any members of the board have any questions for this witness?
So maybe Mr. Decker can clarify this for me too. The lot width, Mr. Decker identifies it as a variance. You're not?
The existing lot?
Yeah.
There are a few existing nonconformities, we would request the board that it, affirmatively accept those as variance requests, just to make life easier, but again, all those are existing nonconformities. Yeah.
So you agree the lot width is the existing non-conforming, so, okay.
Yes.
I thought he said something about being above 250, maybe I misheard something, okay, I'm sorry.
I do have a question, I'm not sure if it's for Tom. I just wanted to confirm there's 4 variances that are being sought, is that correct? One for the front yard setback, one with the disturbance, one for being in a critical area, and then one for the septic. Is that correct? Or just
I count 6, lot area, pre-existing.
Oh, I didn't count the fees.
Lot with, yeah, well, lot with pre-existing, and then the other 4 would be front yard setback, critical areas, steep slopes, and subsurface sewage.
Yeah. Okay.
6 total, but 2 were existing.
And just for the benefit of the board, what I would say for pre-existing, and obviously you guys know this with everything is, approve or deny those pre-existing are not going anywhere. This is the property, so, yeah.
And if I could add just one more point, you know, with regards to tree removal. So I just want to bring to the attention, so with regards to tree removal, in accordance with 102-79 B4. As a result of the single family home, we're looking to remove some of those trees which are exempt. Now, I am aware that previously, prior to ownership of my client, that there were trees that were removed. And they were removed by the utility company either within the right of way, so those tree removals would meet the other exceptions in section 102.79, and the other exceptions with regards to that, but this is prior to ownership of my client, but I just want to bring it up on the record because there were trees that were previously removed and disturbed, that the utility company actually removed trees within the right of way. And there was also some autumn olive trees and invasive trees that were previously removed as well, but not by our client, but just want to bring that up for the record, but the trees that we're looking to remove are those that we are anticipating will be under the exemption of the single family home construction. So I just want to bring that up.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to definitely reiterate that our client purchased the property in 2025. As was stated, these were removed in 2022. And if you look at the town's tree removal ordinance, there's nothing really that puts the onus on current owners or property buyers to basically retroactively remediate issues from years past. And you know, whether they did it properly or not is kind of not on us, right? This was several years ago. And again, if you look at that ordinance, there's nothing that puts that requirement, on the applicant to retroactively fix that.
But wouldn't the removal of those trees cause less water uptake on that property and therefore increase the problems with stormwater runoff?
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't recommend just removing trees unnecessarily. These were trees that were removed because they're either invasive or the utility company as a result of doing their work. But I do agree with that statement. So not something that, but when we're assessing the stormwater, we're looking at the stormwater of what is there today, and then we're what's there today, and then we're providing reductions, and we're also detaining the increase of what would be there tomorrow with the post development flows. But yes, that is correct.
So with regard to stormwater,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying about the ordinance not, holding a new property owner responsible, but there's also no provision in the ordinance that grandfathers anything either. From a stormwater standpoint, as you know, there's two criteria for stormwater management. And the baseline date, is 2004. February 2nd, 2004 is when the regulations were adopted. And the regulations state that you need stormwater management, you can create an additional 1/4 acre of impervious surface, roof, driveway, sidewalk, whatever, since 2004. So if it was already impervious there in 2004, you're good, you can add up to 1/4 acre. Obviously on this property, there was nothing there previously, so any impervious counts towards that. I think they've demonstrated that they did not exceed that threshold for the 1/4 acre. The other criterion is 1 acre of disturbance. And typically, that's something that, if you have say a farm field or an agricultural field, and you're disturbing an acre of land, and you go back and vegetate it, and you've improved it over tilled soils. The problem with woods is that woods is your best hydrologic cover.
Mhm.
And you can't duplicate it quickly. It takes 20-30 years. So that's where you kind of run into the disturbance, and unfortunately, the disturbance associated with the house, with the grading and everything, I think it's like 0.45, which is fine. But the property had been disturbed for almost a good part of it. I mean, the utility company could have taken some stuff out, and may have been some invasives, but when you look at the aerial, I don't know that they were all invasives.
So that's the threshold for disturbance has been exceeded. The challenge on this piece of property is, as we stated, it has steep slopes. I don't know how you take care of stormwater management on slopes that are 15-20%. You know, it's more than just a dry line. It's, you know, you're supposed to compensate for the trees. So with regards to stormwater, and I know, you know, the property on board, a lot of the trees have been cleared. And I have the, you know, the photos in my report that they were cleared sometime in April 2022 and October 2022 before they were purchased. And then it looks like there was some more cleared after that. So that's something of a concern, because obviously that has impacts on downstream properties and so forth. So that would be a question if there's any way to mitigate that requirement, and that something for the applicants to address.
Is there an environmental impact statement with that?
No, there's no environmental impact statement because this is for a single family home. And it's not required for a single family home. This was a site plan, and they were proposing something about commercial development or a subdivision where they were creating lots. And an environmental impact statement would be required. Now, that's not to say that, you know, there are variances that are being requested, including you know, disturbance of steep slopes, and so forth. That's not to say that the board could not ask for elements of an environmental impact report to help them in rendering the thing. And Scott can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's still within your ability. I don't know if you want to go to the rest of my report, see how.
Do you want to comment on anything he said with regard to that?
Yeah, I think, not to be the broken record, I would reiterate that, again, it was a utility company that removed a lot of the invasive trees. I fully understand what your engineer is saying about, you know, this is not farmland that's being removed, these were actual trees, whether they were invasive or not. And what I would then propose to you again is that we are proposing a whole new stormwater system that is not there currently. So this, in our opinion, is an improvement from the current situation, because again, even if we're denied, these trees have been removed, right? So if anything, in our view, we are improving the situation by adding these, the stormwater system, and Adam, feel free to add anything else.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also as a mitigation, I mean, we are willing to put any trees, so we do have already a healthy buffer of evergreens. However, I think the applicant would be okay with planting, you know, some other trees if that were to help. I know trees are never the same when you remove them when they're mature, but in our best foot forward in doing mitigation, we'd be willing to plant some extra trees to mitigate with regards to that.
And that would be up to the board as far as how much revegetation the board would be looking to do with the buffer plans. It's reforesting portions of the property with vegetation.
Is that something you would be comfortable with if the board grants the application, says that's a condition?
Yeah, with some guidance as far as to what extent you're looking for revegetation out there, you know, if it's buffers, if it's, you know, or pick a quantifying area, you know, if they're over an acre, is it the difference between what they exceeded from the acre? Is that okay? Yeah, but that, I just need some direction from the board, and then we can do that as a topic, a condition.
But is that something that you could do without an environmental impact statement, guided towards the, stormwater runoff?
I think so. For the most part, the grade on the property is consistently steep. So wherever the vegetation goes, it's not like it's a key factor in, you know, is there a better spot on the property than another?
Right.
Well, maybe not really.
Okay. So, just for now, since this EIS has been brought up, I would like to ask the board's opinion on, you know, where they stand on requiring an EIS for anything on this. typically, we do not do EIS on something like this. But again, we can request that, and because of the steepness of this property, it may be warranted, but I prefer the board's input on that.
I've got a question though about the trees. Are you planning to remove more, or you just brought up that a bunch had been taken out? And, or are you planning to remove even more?
So there were trees that were removed prior to the ownership, but as a result of this project, yeah, in the footprint of the home and its improvements, whatever's within those areas will be removing, yes.
I think you can see some of those.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of when we did the sidewalk, I don't remember there being trees needing to be removed, but I think it's maybe nearby, but.
I also didn't see any stumps or anything.
No, but I just didn't, new trees needing to be removed. but-
Right,
But I
yeah,
can't
I'm not
tell.
aware of any new trees would be.
If you look at, figure 3 on page 6 of my report, in that area, you might see. And perhaps the applicant will confirm that it does look like there are some trees. The dark area, on the report.
Right, so right into the corner, the right part.
Right in that, yeah. Yeah, right where the light will.
That's it.
It is. I never remember anything from
Sometimes it can be a little deceiving because the aerial may show, the shadow.
And a question, and please just bear with me, the property owners are aware of the tree removals that you're suggesting?
We were informed of those, yes.
You inform them?
No, we were informed of the previously removed, or?
No, not the previous, the
Oh.
current situation, are the property owners involved with that, are they aware that you're suggesting the removal? Like, just
Well,
bear
yeah,
with
we,
me.
in our, I mean, from both an environmental and a cost standpoint, our planning was to minimize as many trees as possible of what we'd be taking down, because it would, both from a cost and the environment, so.
Right, but when you reviewed the plan with them, they were informed that the trees would be removed, correct?
Yeah,
Hearing you?
whatever is necessary, correct.
What I would add, and we said this before, is that this is really, if you're gonna build a home, which is permitted on this property, this is the most optimal place. And it reduces the amount of trees that are being removed. So although obviously nobody, I mean, I look the way I look, right? I want to keep trees. But sometimes there's no way around it, there's something have to be removed. So that's how we want to finish.
And we're anticipating to maintain whatever is there, but if incidental in construction, sometimes you have when you're moving dirt, that actually kills the trees or something, so that's why we don't
Or
wanna,
machinery running on.
correct, so we wanna make sure that we, on the record, that we're getting that to be something that is, as per the exception, but the client does wanna minimize or not remove any trees if possible.
Do you happen to know what the species, the size of the trees are?
No, we didn't have a detailed tree survey, from that aspect. But if there are trees to be removed, we would certainly replant them in accordance with, the replacement ordinance, in accordance with section 10279.
And I can add from just previous conversations that there is still a lot of the autumn olive, which is an invasive species on the property. So a lot of the trees that would be removed, I can't testify to how much exactly, but just anecdotally, I was told that is still a lot of what is on the plot.
Mr. Porro, the vice chairman brought up an issue on. With regard to the EIS, hear a comment on that as the board's statement.
Yeah, I think you guys get around the head that this isn't a requirement of a single family home. That's what we're proposing here. My understanding of Mr. Denver is that he doesn't need the EIS to basically do his job in reviewing what you guys are proposing. But obviously, I would yield to you all on what your ultimate decision is for that.
So again, as a board, we do have the right to request an EIS for anything that we may deem necessary.
The board has the right to impose any reasonable conditions.
Correct.
Also, we could put conditions, not
Yes.
necessarily all EIS, but conditions of trees, etc., as part of the development.
So the EIS would basically be used to guide us in what we would decide to do. Again, we might be able to do that on our own without having the EIS.
So that just said, with giving him some general parameters, you know, and deferring to him.
So what I'm looking for right now is just the board's feelings on that. I don't want to dictate to anybody that we're gonna have an EIS or we're not gonna have an EIS, so I prefer to hear your opinions on what you think.
If I could just add, for the EIS, usually the EIS, you know, at the beginning, we look at a site plan, it quantifies and identifies what the existing environmental conditions are. So with the steep slopes haven't changed. Okay. It's the vegetation that has, but we don't have anything other than some historic areas that could be used in an EIS to document what vegetation had been here before. So that could be the difficulty in an EIS. While you might ask for an EIS, it may not give you
The information.
the information that you're looking.
So, Dan? That'd be good.
I think that we could, skip the EIS. I think that Mr. Decker provided with some bounds of what we expect as a board. Like was, you know, was brought up that we may not even get the information that is provided in the EIS to guide us into where we want to be. So why put extra onus on the applicant, to provide something that if we kind of know where we want to be, I think we could do that on our own.
Thank you. Is that?
I agree. I think, we could put certain conditions without an EIS.
Yeah. Lesson.
Well, I was just reading the note from the environmental commission.
Yeah, that's kind of why we're addressing this, because
Yeah.
they did bring this up as well.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that, you know, that we touch on this,
Mhm.
for the record. Everything that we do here has to be for the record, so that, you know, we indicate that we have, dealt with this issue, so.
Okay. Well, I think, yeah, Jose, the same, that we could put the conditions on one. And I think that they also mentioned that they wanted to see some native shrubbery listed from the landscaping ordinance. I guess that would be a condition of.
Yes, that's currently a requirement. Any trees that are replanted in town have to be on the plants, have to be native, non-invasive species.
Perfect.
I don't think it's necessary.
Right?
So I tend to agree. I feel like the one piece of information that I'm missing for this is there's been concerns raised about stormwater management on the property, but I don't know that I've heard about any existing problems. So for example, like if the trees were removed 4 years ago, is there a history of runoff onto the roads and issues like that? Haven't heard anything like that. I don't know if something like that exists, if something like that would reveal itself through an EIS. I don't know if that's probably a lot to just sort of gamble on, I guess, to say, like, let's go and do that in hopes that we may sort of reveal that piece of information. I'm kind of leaning toward saying in the absence of anything that says that it's a current problem, that an EIS would really help us here. So kind of leaning toward no.
Yeah, I don't think one's needed.
And looking at what an EIS would do, it wouldn't be informative to us for what we're talking about now. So why do we?
So I think I agree with the board. I think that, we can't really tell how many trees were removed or how much water we're dealing with. And I don't think that could be revealed in the EIS, so I would agree that you don't need it. I think that we can move ahead without the EIS at this point.
Mr. Chair. Now, one of my concerns is that during the construction, we should be safeguarding additional erosion.
Well, yeah.
That's me very important.
Yeah, I mean, that does go to soil conservation.
So conservation will review that, but you're absolutely correct. You know, minimize the amount of disturbance, stabilize what's there now that's not going to be disturbed. Obviously, silt fence and any other measures that soil conservation requires steep slopes to present some challenges. With that, so yes, that would be between our office and, Bernie County Soil Conservation.
And that was in Mr. Decker's report, and we acknowledged that he actually mentioned about SCD and because we're over 5,000 square feet as well, so he picked up from that.
Just a couple more housekeeping matters. No permanent design waivers here, correct?
What was that? Not. No.
Okay. And you would agree this is a C1 variance? I will correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had some questions on the septic field. You have a reserve area of 37 and 37. That is completely within the setback. Yet your plan that you have, which seems that if you put another 37 by 37 just below that would fit.
Prior to me coming on this project, this septic was designed by another engineer and it went to Hernando County for approval, so it actually was previously approved. I was just confirming with my client if he knew the reasoning for it. I imagine it had to do with maybe soil testing or something, or a preferred location, but I don't know the exact reason of why.
I think I can kind of figure out what happened.
Okay.
Is originally on the plan, the 75-foot front setback was measured from the property line within the road. By ordinance, it's supposed to be measured from the right of way. Okay, so when the septic was originally designed, it probably was shown as being located within the building envelope. Through the process of revising the plans to address our comments, that line moved. If this were to go to Hernando County Soil or Hernando County Health Department now, they would send it back to this board for relief for being outside of the setback, outside the setback. So that's how that happened. I think, and the other thing is that they're showing this as a square based on topography. It would actually be more of the elongated system that's being proposed because it has to follow the contours of the land. You're not going to put in a regular, a square septic bed in steep slopes. Okay, because it's supposed to be level, and you're not going to accomplish that there. So the reserve area is actually going to be more in tune with what is shape wise for the primary system that everybody follows it, running parallel with the contours.
So basically, the reserve area could be a duplicate of that, just a little further up the hill. So why is it?
That makes a lot of logical sense. And a lot of time, and being that it was previously approved, we didn't touch the location of it because it went through the vetting, there was soil testing done. There was a design done based off of that location, so for us, it was deemed almost untouchable because then we'd have to go through that whole process and it was already approved with Hernando County, so we didn't touch it. And we kept it in the same spot. But that makes sense in that previously it was acceptable in that if you go based off the property line, we are maintaining that 75 feet. It's just now that when we realize that dedication from the county of taking that swath of land from this property, then it triggers that front yard setback.
So Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, it would make sense to put some sort of tree line around this to help mitigate that.
Well, I'm not sure.
I mean, down below, obviously.
If it's, I'm not sure. Do you know if this is a conventional system or if it's mounted?
This is a conventional system.
So you're not going to have, not going to be like an elevated setting, so it should be fairly, there may be some there will be some change in the grade because you have to level out the portion, so, you know, where you have steep slopes coming up, it's gonna kind of plateau a little bit,
Right.
but it's not gonna be, you know, a big pump.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not directly, yeah, it's just slightly elevated. Would we want to see the, reserve area more?
I would suggest, because the reserve area basically creates an area that you're not gonna be putting anything.
Mhm.
Okay, so I would certainly take a look for the reserve and kind of give it the same
Footprint,
footprint.
okay.
Because that's, in reality, if you had to use it,
Mhm.
that's what it would be. And then you wouldn't be. Well, you still have an area that you could really plan or use, but
Mhm. But aligning it with that same configuration footprint, moving it up the hill.
right, basically copying and pasting it.
Yeah.
uphill.
Certainly.
Anybody else have any questions?
Oh, Alexandria Township for the lot coverage, just check, because they have the same criteria as far as
Mhm.
the lot is net out, you know, outside the right of way,
Mhm.
so just check your
Numbers?
percentages. Yeah,
Okay,
and then you have driveway permit from,
from one century and road opening. from
well,
county.
no, actually road opening, road opening, the county, that's also the same thing as driveway, because that's only, Alexandria only deals with that on their roads.
Mhm.
And I believe I saw an email or something from the county basically saying they'll look at your driveway opening permit once they know that.
This
Correct,
is-
it's
That's
there.
correct.
Right.
But I would just add that the county's the one who told us to put it there, so they haven't officially, you know, like Mr. Decker said, they're gonna give their official stamp after you all, decide, but again, it's going there because that was their guidance.
Yeah, and then the county, just so the board knows, the county will be looking at it as far as, you know, location, is probably the best location to be from a site distance standpoint, as far as away from that airport front as possible. So they'll probably be looking at it on the site, trying to look at that's outside of the town's jurisdiction.
So do I hear a motion to open to the public for questions for this witness?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So does the public have any questions for this witness alone? So this would be, this would be questions on what he's testified to, not comments on the general, plan. We will have questions, we will have comments at the end of the meeting.
Do you have any other witnesses?
No, this is gonna be our final witness.
Do you have any other exhibits?
I don't believe so, yeah, no, this is our outline.
So, okay,
They made a complete presentation.
yeah, okay, so amending that, you can make any comments that you want based on, so this is the final witness, so we can make any comments that you want.
Anybody who wants has to come up here and get closer to the microphone and identify themselves, please.
And I'm also gonna ask, since I'm not familiar with all of you, if you would just sign your name on that, so that I can be accurate with the minutes.
Thank you.
My name is Rebecca Stoneback. I own 130 County Road 579, the neighboring property. And I guess I'll start with my question for the expert. This was the disturbance lines, and some of the disturbance lines butt right up against my property. And I'm concerned for the trees that are.
Hold on, man.
Oh, sorry.
You have a document?
Yes,
Okay, so,
from,
is it part of his?
Yes.
Is it something that?
it's part of his.
Can you refer to what,
What page that is? Yeah, I see it. So that's right.
I think I saw erosion sheet C04.
And would you speak to the mic so we could all hear?
there is a.
It doesn't look.
Yeah, this how, if you could speak up a little.
Yes, yes, I can speak up.
Hold on, just for the record, the witness is referencing, drawing C04 from the applicant's exhibit A.
Yes, I have questions about the disturbance lines that butt up against my property where I have trees, and I'm concerned about soil impaction and the roots being disturbed and my trees dying.
Okay,
And I can show you, I highlighted it here, and here, right up against my trees.
okay. So this is our maximum limit disturbance time. So we're maximizing wherever there might be even just like an inch of soil moved or anything. And what we do is when we put down a silt fence, so that's the erosion control of like fabric fencing, which I'll show you a picture right here, this type of fencing. So what we do is around the perimeter of the site, we put down this fencing. So that doesn't really disturb much. Hammer that into the ground, but it doesn't mean that our development is like right on you. But that's just showing the maximum limit of disturbance, because we outline it with this fence so that we protect the erosion. That's the board's professional thing. So it doesn't go down to, so that's why that's like, no, no,
Okay. That was my first thing. Thank you.
no problem.
This is all new to me.
Okay.
So thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. My first issue is that he's claiming this is a hardship based on the land. I believe this is a self-created hardship because the MLS listing stated ahead of time these issues, and I do have copies that I can pass out, so you're seeing what I'm reading from.
Yep.
I think I have enough.
Thank you.
So this would be marked,
Let's just make it P1 for public.
thank you. Then this would be E1.
We can tell your reputation.
I think much for.
Oh, actually. Gave them all away. It states right on here that, well, this is tiny. I can't see very well. I might, I think I'm getting to that point when it's not bright enough. This lot is being offered as is, in need of all township approvals. The buyer is responsible for all due diligence regarding of requirements, regulations to build. Any updates to perk log responsibility is responsibility of buyer. Steep slope and highlands will require investigation and some due diligence. Copy also includes separate block and lot. So basically, it was stated right here in the MLL list is S listing all of the problems. He bought it anyway and decided those rules didn't apply to him. So this is a self-created hardship. I only have one of these, the actual selling contract, but.
Gonna reference the document.
Yes.
And mark it, you're gonna have to give it up.
I can do that.
You can refer to it and give it back to us, but
Okay.
make sure the board secretary gets that.
When you're done.
When you're done.
When you're done with it.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is a notice to the buyer and seller. This is the actual contract. And on it, it says, buyer has done due diligence with regard to local zoning and is satisfied with any clarification of township versus county requirements. So again, ahead of time, he knew, and he decided these rules didn't apply to him. He bought the land anyway. I have also concerns, right? We'll give this up as well before I delve into the variances. When I went through the paperwork, the escrows weren't complete. And I didn't think we could even have a township hearing without completed escrow in place.
We can have the hearing, that's an administrative thing, that's not a jurisdictional thing.
I thought that was an actual New Jersey state law. That without escrow in place, it couldn't be a hearing for variances.
So what you're handing to me is a blank.
What I'm saying to you is what he signed, but was never filled out.
Okay, so, let's step at a time here. So when I mark this P3, two-page document, Townships of Bethlehem Land Development Escrow Agreement. Page 1 is blank. Page 2 has Leon Shackman's name and address and an email address. It is not signed or dated. But, okay.
And I also have this one that is, again, for the escrow, and it's the checklist of requirements. And those aren't completed.
So when did you?
Just a few days ago.
Okay,
Okay, so for the record, I'm marking this piece of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 pages, so part of the planning board application. Which is not that thing that was. Okay, I got it.
this would typically be done by the board secretary, submitted to the board secretary, is that correct?
Yes.
So the issue being that our board secretary has to recuse from this case. And we have a filling board secretary who is not familiar with our,
I'm not familiar with.
Well, yeah, hold
But
on,
I,
hold on, look here. I don't see this as a jurisdictional issue. Jurisdictional issue is jurisdiction meaning giving the board the power to consider the case. Jurisdictional issue is pretty much limited to the notice requirement, making sure all people within their feet are noticed. So this court still has jurisdiction. Typically what happens when it relates to escalating fees, it's a condition of approval that the applicant has to make all deficiencies in escrows up to date in order to get final approval, because the escrow is a fluctuating math. For instance, the escrows are being billed today by my services, the engineer services, we don't know what they're gonna be. My services, when I'm at my office working on it, same with Mr. Decker, et cetera. So it would be a condition of approval that the escrow be filled and the agreement signed, but it's not a jurisdictional issue, so in my view, the board still can hear the application.
Okay, I'll take that under advisement and I will
so you
investigate it
understand,
further.
before they can get any approval, they would have to get this completely done.
Okay,
And, you know, we'll push immediately to do that, so that, whether it's at this hearing or at any future hearings, that the escrow, has been satisfied.
okay, thank you.
Just to clarify on that point real quick, approval, yes, in the sense of the grant scheme approval, but as your attorney just mentioned, you can approve or deny, but that approval was different than this approval that you are all discussing right now. It's the administrative approval.
Okay, I'm concerned about, it's a hairpin turn. It's an extremely dangerous area. There already has been erosion coming into the road from the property. So yes, as you mentioned, it is an issue. I'm a lifelong Hardin County resident. I'm 5th generation. I take protecting our very good steward of the land. I'm very concerned. It's my understanding, and anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm new to all this. The setbacks are in place for line of sight and to allow the township, if necessary, to widen the road. Due to the high amount of accidents that are consistently on that corner, I'm concerned that that's going to have to happen. And if the setbacks aren't met, then that won't leave room to widen the road, and it won't leave room to later amend stormwater. So for that reason alone, I'm very concerned about the setback variance. Traffic safety is a very important thing. As far as the lot size, I'm concerned about, we have 5-acre minimum for a reason. It's not just about aesthetics, even though aesthetics are important. It's about preserving our aquifer, having enough water. So this is another well and then another septic to pollute on an undersized lot. And it really doesn't preserve our rural character. And I know this isn't part of this application, but I would be remiss if I did not mention the driveway location. It is not in, it will interfere with my sightline, and again, it's a high accident area, and it's adding another driveway into an already messy situation.
Where is your driveway?
Right next to it. Is it on here? My driveway is like right over here, it's not on there. They didn't
So
violate.
you're pointing to the lower left-hand corner, C1, right?
I'm on 130.
So it would be basically, right where your name is.
Yeah, that's right where my land is.
So, considering that your driveway is there,
Mhm.
do you think that it might be better to put two driveways closer together?
No, because that interferes with my sightline,
Yeah, but
my safety.
only if somebody's pulling out at the exact same time as you.
It's still a
Well,
possibility.
imagine them.
Hold on, one person at a time.
It's also about them building and coming in and out and how long it's going to take. So for my future safety and my family's, I take that very
Let me
seriously.
interject for 1 second.
Mhm.
Shame on me.
That's-
Raise your right hand.
Oh.
You swear from the testimony of this matter with the truth and best of your ability.
Yes,
Okay, you swear that the testimony that you've given up to this time has been the truth to the best of your ability.
yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I wasn't aware I was supposed to be
No,
sworn in.
that's not it.
I don't know any of this
Yep.
stuff. Thank you. And the steep slope, I keep going back to the steep slope. We have the highlands for a reason. We have the soil conservation for a reason. And this is all just thumbing its nose at it and building anyway. And then who's responsible when it causes accidents or the road can't be widened? Is that the burden of the taxpayers in the township? What happens? That's a genuine question. I don't know. So I'm concerned overall about all. And I don't really know how to better put it into words. So that's what I have for now.
Do you have any other documents that you want to offer?
Not this-
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your patience.
Suzie Mazel, 424 Charlestown Road.
You started off that.
Can I ask questions?
Yes.
I don't, so it's, my questions are based on the sidewalk that we had, can I?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a,
You have to swear
Yes.
to.
You swear affirm the testimony in this matter to be the truth and best of your ability.
yes.
Thank you.
So there was a mound of dirt, and someone called it right in the middle of that. Part of, like, I was curious of what that was, and is that part of the proposed septic field? or-
They're doing actually different assessments, so they actually, maybe like we need to test it, I'm not sure, we want to confirm.
Well, there's only one in the field as you're looking down.
Yeah.
It was pretty substantial mound. It was, I don't know what it was. I'm just curious.
Depending exactly where you're referring.
I don't remember exactly.
There's actual, there's some topography there, and then there's also areas for these.
Is it on one of the maps? On the
Can you,
picture?
before you,
There was somewhere in here, honestly, I don't, like, we're looking down here.
By the reserve area.
Is it by the reserve area?
Right.
It's further this way, I saw it. Further in.
So we see an area of disturbed soil, so.
It looked pretty new, like it had flat.
clear, one person at a time.
Can you take a look at this, see?
I have a photo of it, but it doesn't show.
So this is again, the same photo on page 6 of the book.
Okay.
Like, it's like over to the middle, remember, walk
Yes.
down, it's like right in the middle.
What's your question?
It was just, I was curious of what it was, and is that where the septic goes? It was just a question. It just purely a question, because we were not allowed to ask questions on the sidewalk.
Right.
So that's one question. What was that? And then, as far as the disturbed area, that's interesting. I didn't think of to add in trees that had been privately removed, because when I was looking at the site plan, I was like adding up the numbers. But you're right, but there's also, so this is, the private road right here, is that correct?
Yes, just above that is private road.
Just above that?
Yeah, there's a private drive that's off-site. It's not.
Oh,
Which is
this.
there, yeah.
I think that is, anyway,
Yeah,
so there's,
sure.
dirt, a dirt
Yeah.
drive, I'm gonna say dirt drive, enough for a car coming off from this road, private road. So one of my questions is, if this is a private road, what does that mean? Like, and then also, does all that track that is now added into here, does that also get added into the accumulative disturbed area? Because it's not on the plans, I saw it on the sidewalk.
So what you're saying is if you saw disturbed land other than what they're showing on
I
this,
believe so.
okay.
That's when I walked down all the way to down where that his equipment is. And then it comes up also kind of almost to the hairpin turn also.
So your question is exactly what?
Is that what's good?
Well, two questions. One is it added in, does it get added into the disturbed area? And two, just for my own curiosity, if it's coming out onto a private road, how does that work? Just purely curiosity question.
Well, maybe Mr. Decker or Mr. Kendall can answer the first question, but the second question we can't answer because you said, how does that work? I'm not really sure. It's kind of a big question.
Well, is that something that the board should be asking or understanding? We did a sidewalk.
But if you're asking about an off-site driveway, what's your question?
Well, it's on the
No.
on the driveway, there's a dirt road going onto a private drive.
I think, yeah, if you look at page 6, Suzanne, maybe you can take a look still. On page 6, there's a photo, and you'll see what it looks like meters or some kind of.
Yeah.
We're talking about this area.
Yes, there's, and then it also goes up here too. Within here.
So on the northern foot of the property, if you look at that photo, you see,
Yes.
you'll see some, what looks to be recently disturbed ground, and this photo was taken. We obtained from a service we use near that, and it's completed March 21st, 2026, so it's fairly recent.
So can you address that?
Let me just check out my plan real quick.
Did you have one?
One, yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah, wait a second.
Hold on. And this-
Yeah, so looking at that area, my client seems like that is when they were removing some of the invasive trees that were there in that area, so that is the autumn olive trees that they were removing in that area.
Okay, and so when were those removed? And that was recent, right?
Rather recently, yes.
Okay, so is that going to be replanted through there?
It was not anticipated because it's not required to be replanted, but we're willing to do any mitigation that does.
I think that's the direction that the board needs to provide.
Yeah.
Because I understand you have the Russian olive and so forth, unfortunately, we haven't really done any of that.
Right.
So maybe the case, but unfortunately, we're after that.
Yeah, so the tree ordinance requires that anything that you're removing be identified before you remove it, so that for just this situation.
Yeah.
So at this point, we can assume that we can only assume worst case that they were not, invasive. And so, so that'll be up to the board to determine whether or not we decide,
Certainly.
what we're going to do.
And the applicant, we're not objecting to any mitigation or to planting trees or something.
What I would add on that point is we're told by the client is if he's going, the area is very clear, it's all involved in that whole region. And we would be, even willing to maybe clarify as a condition that the disturbed area is, we just confirm it with your office or do that as a condition of approval, along with all the other mitigation that's already been discussed.
Yeah, two other questions. So can you, so the dry well is the new stormwater regs? That's actually from Mr. Decker, is the new stormwater regs that are from just 2 years ago or something?
Yeah, once that changed again.
Yeah. And can you explain to me, help me understand how this? And I'm kind of looking at Mr. Decker too, to make sure that this proposed dry well satisfies the new regulations and also understanding the septic area, how that's gonna work, because how does you make it flat when you have a slope, so. Okay.
Yeah, so it complies with both the old and the new, so, Mr. Decker went said earlier that, applications that are under 1/4 acre of new impervious or acre of disturbance are exempt from major regs, but we still have a requirement as the design engineer that whatever runoff was going and assuming the woods and the vacant area that was there, whatever runoff was leaving the site, we have to make sure that less runoff leaves the site on the post development, which is part of both the new and old.
So why isn't the dry well further downhill to accumulate more of the runoff?
Yeah, so, and that's also to minimize our disturbance, so we kept it here, because if the more we went downhill, the more we have to disturb, like you were saying. That incidental disturbance, as you keep going down the hill, you have to disturb more. But there's also a requirement of how far this has to be from the well, and how far it has to be from the septic. So as we keep going there, that gets tighter for the winds to go to place.
And
But,
as far as the septic also, like we're like, how does that work from a zone point of view? Can you make something flat, and if you don't terrace, how do you make something flat?
so what you do is that parts of the area you tighten the slopes, and then on the other part, you flatten the slope, so as you cross it, and that's what Mr. Deck was saying, that we align it usually with the contour, so it's going in that general grain or direction. And then we would tighten the slopes, flatten it, and then tighten again, so you create like a.
So
flat
you
slope.
are kind of doing a plateau
You would have,
then,
if the
so
requirements going across the septic field, there's a maximum slope you will cross.
how wide is the plateau?
How wide is the
Well,
plateau?
yeah. To the plateau.
From that septic? I don't know about the scale, why?
The one thing that you're not seeing, Suzanne, on there is the contour line.
Right, the drip, yeah.
So if you look at,
I
you can
tried.
kind of see them a little bit here, they're hard to see. But basically, the flow there is kind of going parallel to the slope and to the septic system.
I'm explaining it as you're talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried looking at that, I couldn't visualize.
So
How it's
it gives
gonna-
you a- this is-
Yeah.
That same direction, so we get in line there, and the plateau that you were asking me.
It's one for people, one for couple.
Yeah, so the plateau is about 15 feet here, this is a scale of 1 to 30.
And, one other comment, I was the one who wrote the letter for the environmental commission, and I very much stress paying attention to this stuff. I understand an EIS isn't required, but also for the plantings. So I would definitely do more native shrubbery and also make sure that the site visits doesn't get impacted when these start growing, because that's what I have in my driveway. And also, again, to do if he already pulled out autumn plant some nice native, they can be small, they don't have to be the trees that ruin the view. You know, we get that, but there are smaller native trees that I didn't see anywhere mentioned in the plan that I think should be. Thank you.
Thank you. So somebody else? Yeah. Please state your name. State your name there.
My name is Rory Scribner. I live at 10 Northridge, Bloomsbury, New Jersey.
You swear from testimony you kind of the chief investor,
I do.
Rory
Rory, R-O-R-Y,
Scribner.
Scribner, S-C-R-I-B-N-E-R.
Thank you.
So I am, that's my driveway.
Okay.
Okay, so half of that trail, that's the driveway, it's a trail. Most of it's on my property.
Okay.
So, and most of that area that's down there, it was all invasive and it was all trees that came down. My power lines out about 10 times since I've lived there. So most of the trees that were there were already down, or they were ash, shot, and autumn olive, and that's it. I mean, we plan, me, my neighbor Ken Chalet, Lee coming up, we have another neighbor down below, we plan on cutting trails in around the property so our ladies can walk around the property. We're not trying to do anything crazy, it's just trails around the property. You know, we have a quite nice plot of land and it's nice to walk around. So as far as that, there's no water runoff since anything has been done, even prior to what Lee Shacken is, there's no issues with water runoff because I am below. So if anybody's getting the water, it's me, 0 issues. As far as that goes, I mean, that's all I could say about any of the issues you guys have been bringing up. As far as, you know, the trail goes, he had permission from my end to do whatever he needed to do on my property and moving into his, that is all.
Your driveway is, as you're going down the hill, it's the first driveway after the curve.
Yes, well, if
Okay,
you're going down, it's the first driveway to the left.
Oh, to the left, and which turns into a dirt road.
No, it's a paved, my driveway is a paved road all the way up, and there's a trail that comes up from my property up to Leon Shacken's property.
That's where I walked in.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Very good.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
State your name,
Barbara Hoffman.
raise your hand. You swear from the testimony you give in this matter with the truth, the best of your ability.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I find that the board did not talk much about the setback from 75 feet to 51 feet. That's 24 feet difference, which is 8 meters. It's about from there to there. That's a lot on that road. If it's that easy to get a variance, I'll be back next week for a setback. That's one. So why didn't you discuss that?
Oh, we have, hold on.
Oh.
We're gonna deliberate, okay?
Oh, okay.
And
I thought.
we're not required to tell you why we're doing or not doing it. And it's being taken into consideration.
And also, just to clarify, the distance to 50 feet is to the right of way, not to the road itself. So just so everybody knows that that's to the right of way. I think the county has like a 40-foot right of way from the center line of the road.
Right.
And the road itself is half the width is, it's 15 feet, you know. But, so when you're, from a visual standpoint, it's gonna seem further than 50 feet away from the, just,
So when you say 75, from 75 to 51 is from the middle of the road.
right, so.
Okay.
Right. so the county right of way.
Yeah.
is 40 feet from the center line of the road. And then the township ordinance says that your setback is measured that right of way.
Right,
Okay, on a
Right.
typical neighborhood. you
so it wouldn't be a.
get- Right, so visually it's gonna look
Right.
further than that.
Right.
50 feet.
Yeah, if you look at that from the center line, it's 96.
Okay, second, I just wanted to ask Mr. Decker if I did understand correctly. Since 2004, any new family home with a disturbance of 1 acre requires a stormwater management plan? Did I get it right?
It-
Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, you would indicate?
No.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to postpone comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I can make a few closing statements just before you all deliberate. I'm nothing new, just to kind of re-hone everybody in. It is permitted use, right? So my client bought the property because regardless of, the warnings and the listings, the town has deemed this property suitable for exactly what we are proposing. The way I look at the listing and the contract and all that stuff is not saying, you can't do this. It's not saying, you have to keep it vacant. It's just saying you have to basically take the right steps, go to the right boards and get the right approvals before you can do anything. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. So as much as I can appreciate the concern with that, I just want to kind of clarify what is listed versus what is actually going on. It's a funky lot, right? As just discussed, we're requesting certain variances based on the interplay of the county, Alexandria coming in, but really in actuality, the detriment that is going on is non-existent or much smaller than it seems on paper. That's weighed against, this is again, a single family home in a permitted area that's currently vacant, right? And the way that our laws and our town ordinances, are written is that we want to encourage these types of developments, right? We have a client who is moving into town, wants to move his family into town, wants to become a member of this community, and found a property that does permit him to do exactly that. The steep slope is absolutely steep, right? There is no way around it. Our view, and hopefully you all will agree, is that we've done as much as we can to mitigate that, put in the proper constraints, put in the stormwater management system to really, address the property that it is. But again, to be the broken record, it is a permitted use for single family home. And I'm going to take a line from your engineer's letter. Nothing we're proposing is exacerbating the existing nonconformities. So again, as I said in the beginning, there are some pre-existing nonconformities here, but that's not going away regardless of what happens here tonight. So with that, I'm going to zip my mouth and thank you all.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Yeah. When does this lot establish?
Oh, that's a good question.
We'll see.
And also, we're going to take care of all the escrows tomorrow.
Yeah. So as we said before, we are happy to put as a condition of approval that any of those administrative stuff will absolutely be taken care of.
Okay, yeah, has any escrow been paid at all at this point?
I can confirm, but even if not, we'll pay what we need to pay.
Okay.
What I've seen in other towns, and I'm sure this happens also here, is that, you get through the approval, you can get through every step, but there's no CO given unless, all those types of issues, but escrow being number one, are taken care of. So, we are absolutely on the same page with that. Yeah. And same goes with the tree mitigation, right? My client is moving here because he likes the woodsy nature of the town and he wants to do what he can. So we're happy to work with Mr. Decker's office with any of that kind of mitigation.
I have mine. What I do know is that because of the 14,000. That's a matter of.
Thanks.
And some tax maps and.
Yes.
I mean, any lot that was not created before 2004 would not have been legal. When this was required, when this circumstance because it's below the island's, minimum size.
Thank you.
So that's for the record. So, yeah, no more questions? To the board, time to deliberate. Anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to make?
Before you deliberate, I think I want to just provide some guidance with the understanding, I have no dog in this fight, whatever the board does, I'm just the attorney, so if I don't care, if it's granted or not, it's big. But a couple of things that were raised, there was, the Stelbeck had commented and said that, this is a self-created, hardship. Based upon the law, I would disagree that it's a self-created hardship because the, property is what it is. We haven't heard any evidence that, the owner did anything to make his property, more unique. So I would, when you're deliberating, I think you should keep that in mind. I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, there would be, any evidence that this was a self-created hardship. He bought the property, he knew what he was buying, and he's gonna have to live or die with it, whatever he decides, you know, and could go against him. This is what you have to be guided by, it's a C1 variance, and this is what it says. Where by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, or by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or physical features uniquely affecting a specific piece of property. That's what you're looking at. Does this have exceptional topographic conditions or physical features that are unique to this property? Or is it exceptionally narrow and shallow? That's what you, because of that would result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties and undue hardship to the owner. That's what you have to decide. Okay, so is this unique property and therefore should relief from the ordinances, which I was presumed to be lawful, should you grant relief because of the uniqueness of this property? That's all I'm saying.
And when discussing this, we should be addressing those questions.
That's the standard.
And so when we, whichever way we go, if we decide, go against this variant or for this variant, then we need to address those questions. And try and, put that on the record, so that we have a record that we can follow in, either the granting or the denial of this application. Okay? So with that,
I have an open question maybe for
Sure.
first. So we heard testimony about some of the variances, specifically to the front yard variance, the steep slopes, the obviously the issue with septic. I didn't really hear a whole lot of testimony around the critical area variance. I was just wondering for everybody's edification, if you could just add a little bit of color to what that
Sure.
exactly entails.
So basically, the township ordinance has ranges of steep slopes. And for 15-20%, you're not supposed to be basically touching it all. This entire property is like 20% grade. So based on what we've seen, there's no place on this property where you struck a hole without impact of the steep slopes. The objective that is to minimize the amount of steep slopes that you're, now granted, the tree clearing has been, you know, over a considerable amount of the property, but I don't think in the process of removing the trees, they've changed the problem. So what they have shown on their plans, I think it's C4, which is the soil sediment control plan. They show the limit of disturbance. That limit is the limit of what they're actually going to be grading, what they're going to be excavating, moving the soil around. And you can kind of tell, I mean, you do need to go somewhat beyond the parameters of the building, the driveway to tie back into grade. But that is probably as safe as they can probably make it a home. But there's no spot where they could build a house and be outside. So.
Any other questions for Tom or for anybody else?
No, actually, the work location, the least of them.
You know, that's up to, you know, you guys took your site walk and we visualize where the home is going. You know, I think it would be more impactful, closer to the road. Yeah, it's pulled back as far into that triangular lot, as I think it will really benefit.
I do have a question. I thought I saw it there. Is there gonna be a basement in the house or is it just, like a?
Yeah, there'll be a basement
Is it a
walkout.
walkout
Yeah.
basement? So basically, the basement wall is gonna be, gonna provide the transition from, the grading transition from uphill to downhill. So on the downhill side, you'll have more of the basement exposed.
Yeah.
For a walk, it's referred to as a walkout basement.
I just measured from the base of that, around, because that's the, exposed.
Yeah, it's average.
Otherwise, it would be too long now.
Could we go through the list of variances one more time before we go into this?
Yeah.
Sure. So, the first two are, part of the pre-existing non-conforming, they are on lot area. It's approximately 1.6 acres, give or take, 5 acre requirement, again, pre-existing, second pre-existing lot width. I believe it's about 206 and 250 is required, so there's 2 existing. Third one will be front yard setback. They're looking for approximately 8.16 feet where 75 is required. Fourth one would be permitting construction in critical area, which is prohibited. The fifth one will be permitting disturbance of a severely constrained slope, which is also prohibited. And sixth would be the subsurface
Disposal field.
outside the principal building setback. Thanks. You agree?
So we will have to, address each one of these issues individually and together. So,
What do you mean, individually?
well, we should discuss it, each one of the individually, and then it's, you know, we have to decide.
We could grant 5.
Right.
Yeah. Another one, just one, not 5.
Well, you can continue to deliberate generally, but that you're gonna need a motion then before we start.
Right.
Talking specifically.
And adding, our conditions, so again, Dan, you know,
I mean, if you're looking at just the language of C1, I think that this property is quite unique. You know, it's unique in its shape, it's unique in its geography, topography. I do think, like our attorney pointed out, that, you know, the property was purchased, and I think that, you know, the MLS listing kind of says there's a whole bunch of hurdles you're gonna have to jump over. This isn't gonna be an easy one, but I don't think it says that it can't be done. I think that if we were to put certain conditions for reforestation on the property, then we might end up with a better stormwater management system, as so to speak, you know, not a physical system, but trees, than currently exists. The testimony was given that the property owner would, you know, reforest areas that were maybe disturbed by the power company or something like that, so. From that perspective, I think that if with the right conditions, that I could be in favor of.
Thank you. Is that?
Yeah, I agree with the last statement. Also, some conditions, I mean, the construction, limited construction, minimize disturbance. There are ways to do that, so you don't create, worsen the existing situation. It is a steep property, there is that in itself is an issue, but I have seen properties in this township that are built like that. Mine is not that steep, but that's an example. And it's possible to be done. Yes, it has its issues. We have to make sure to address and don't cause further disturbance, especially down below. As I said earlier, I walked to the other side of the property to see what it would be like walking up, and water erosion can really have a big issue on neighbors as well. So that has to be considered as well. You mentioned trees requiring that it's reforested in some areas, and we're not talking about small trees, but it should have some sort of minimum height. So that if the problem won't go away, but it will help if you have something there right off the top.
Think about those conditions of maybe going over those.
Well, I think there's enough rules in place to make it safe between NRCS and I on that with the disturbance. I mean, it's a tough piece of property. Everything's possible.
Any trees that you would suggest, putting on something like this, Bill?
Well, if you just looked at it the other day, there's not much erosion.
The grass is keeping it.
The grass is keeping it in pretty good. And depending on where you put the trees, you wouldn't want to, you buy a lot for a view, you're not gonna put them in way for your view.
I mean, if you put them down low, it's gonna be, unless you're putting sequoias there, I think. They're gonna get.
I would pick out stuff that wouldn't get.
Yeah. Alex, you wanna make any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'm brand new.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I didn't do the sidewalk.
Yeah,
Many years ago, I lived in Glen Gardner and we had the exact scenario happen. And our neighbors, they built a house and it was a ridiculously steep slope. So what they did is they put a little landing at the end, at the bottom. Because during winter, forget it. It was impossible for them to go up. I guess that would be one thing I would say we should suggest. I do think we should put some conditions about the reforestation. I think that's a great idea with native plantings, and larger plants. That's all.
thank you. See?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern would be the erosion issue, but I mean, the gentleman testified that it hasn't really been an issue, which is kind of surprising to me, but that would be my concern for the people underneath, because I've seen, I've been in this town for almost 50 years, and I've seen it where people come in, but if it's not an issue, I mean, that kind of makes me feel a lot better for the people underneath them. Certainly, I certainly think there needs to be some sort of planting that takes place that mitigates what has been wiped out, for sure. So that would be something we have to consider.
Right?
I think I generally agree with what's already been said. I feel like the location of the property is probably as good as it can get for the uniqueness of the property. Pushing further away from the road just kind of creates additional challenges of going further down the slope, which obviously isn't ideal either. So it kind of, it's the best you can get, I think, considering the uniqueness of the property. I share equal concerns about the slope and the runoff, although, as was just said, I think we've heard testimony saying not a problem. So again, absence of more direct testimony saying that it would be a problem. I agree that some reforestation is probably appropriate, or some kind of planting towards the bottom, because obviously it's been exceptionally dry here for quite some time, so as we know, weather changes. So some sort of mitigation of the future potential of runoff, I think is probably fair to talk about, but I don't know that it would be enough to block the application at this point, from my perspective.
Thank you. Right.
Just to clarify, like I don't completely do this type of, you mentioned like I'm putting in a landing or something done for cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, just for your knowledge, the property, the driveway entrance is actually the highest point. So,
Also goes down.
so it goes down, so.
You can slide that in.
So again, they might smash it in their own house.
Got it.
So just. to
Got it.
clarify.
So I wasn't watching.
And they're probably never going to work in snow days.
And then, yeah, I don't think I have a lot to add, that has already been said, other than I think one of the conditions, similar to my own property is when you have, although it's the same road that's kind of binding like two sides of your property, those are considered front yards.
Right.
Even though logically, one of them is your backyard. So I think the septic system probably meets a backyard setback, but it's technically a front yard. You know, I had to deal with that on my property. I have no building envelope on my property because I have all front yards everywhere. So I understand the complications, so I think I'd be, you know, want to see some trees or some sort of vegetation, planted, perhaps even along the road, just to make sure. I don't remember exactly all the trees that were there, just to make, to help prevent possible runoff onto the road as well as to the neighbor's properties. I think everyone was kind of talking about that, even along 579, if there's still kind of slopes that way too, so I just. Obviously, you gotta want to block your view, but I don't think you need 60-foot trees, but. As I mentioned, so that about it.
The attorney put it very well. It is a funky piece of property, so there's a lot of challenges. But for the benefit of the community, the neighbors and that, the first thing I'd like to draw attention to is the environmental commission. Number two, the native shrubberies, the trees and that. Please look to our ordinance, when we make this, write it up, however. Our ordinance does, we work very hard on the tree ordinance. We make suggestions of native trees, shrubberies, things like that. And that's from Rutgers University too. So that would be a contingent too. The native, I totally agree with the environmental commission. Also with the site on the side of, well, it's not me agreeing, it's that we want the town to agree that it's best for the town. The site, be careful of the site of that driveway. You know it, you've been up on that property, we were up on it, and that it can be very dangerous, those turns and that. So, you know, that's gotta be kept in mind. The next thing is with the runoff, water goes down. The septic. What actual type of septic is it? Because when we do have, I had the same thought that Ryan had, that dry spells, wet spells, things like that. Things do find their way depending on how it's layered. You know, concrete, we've had situations like this before where that can be remediated. You know, what exactly is that septic? And to prevent, if there was, it's on the base, going down on the base, the exterior water coming in too. What exactly, you know, can happen? Or how can it be prevented with the septic? Because you don't want the land around and that polluted. And then the trees too. We have a tree ordinance for cutting down now with the tree. Granted, yes, it's gonna be for a single family home, but there's trees all around it. If there's a way that the board can be satisfied with how many and what is going to be possibly taken down, I think that would be a plus. And then the sizes and that, look to our ordinance in that, and if there's anything else, I would suggest, that's a suggestion, look to the records. They're very helpful with those kind of things.
You guys think about the conditions as we go along.
Yes, but it's always good to think from the.
So then. Read that.
Yeah.
All right. So, I do agree that this is a uniquely shaped, piece of property and it's, uniquely steep. I think that, what's being done here is about the best you can do, with what you've been handed. And, I am encouraged to see, you know, some sort of a stormwater, mitigation system. Again, trees are gonna be a big deal here. We're definitely gonna need some trees in there to try and absorb, as Ryan said, you know, it's been very dry. And so, you know, that might not be the case for very long, and it might be the case forever, but, either way, we're all saying the same thing as far as trees go, gotta bring some trees back. And I would, in some of my conditions of approval of something like this, I would certainly encourage, the removal of the least amount of trees possible in the future. I think that where the driveway is probably the safest spot, from what I saw, only because it's the longest distance from, there's two curbs that are not really shown here. The lower one is, but there's also an upper one. And that's probably the one that's gonna be the most impactful because people are going downhill there. And so you're gonna have to make sure that, pulling in over there is safe. I think that's a good spot there. So with that,
I was gonna say, so, from what I've gathered from the tree conversation, what we're looking at is primarily putting the trees, as close to the roads as possible without affecting site distance and everything, right? Put it at the bottom of the hill.
and wires,
What's that?
and wires.
Yes, keep it away from the wires, so not, you know, it's not interfering. That would serve two purposes. One, it's at the downstream portion, which will help intercept erosion. The other thing is it will reestablish kind of that vegetated buffer that used to be there along the roads. And where it's closer to the road provides more of a buffer to everything else, because the trees are close to me. The closer the trees are to you, the more they screen what's behind it. So the question I would have for the board is, we can do that. We have a landscape architect that can check to make sure that everything that they propose is, you know, native species, suitable for steep slopes, all that kind of stuff. So the only question I have is there a width of a buffer they would like along the road, 20 feet? To bring it around, I looked at 20 feet, that gives you about a quarter acre of trees. So, just to give you kind of an order of magnitude.
I know you're deliberating, but I didn't want to interrupt. I just want to remind, there's an easement, so there is a utility easement.
Yeah, we would certainly stay clear of any easements, we'd stay clear of, because it was the hairpin turn, right? We certainly would not, we would certainly want to, you know, maintain that site distance going around them, because that is a safety issue. The screening would be primarily, again, to provide some screening from the road to the proposed improvements, and also provide that downstream absorption area. And to Grace's question about the septic, one of the things is that because of the way that the road laid out, most of the drainage that goes across this property originates from this property. There's very little off-site drainage that cuts across here. So when you're looking at erosion and so forth, it's not as though you have 20 acres upstream that's coming through here. It's primarily whatever is flowing across this property. So for the septic, it's their lot affects their improvements. So
That's probably why it's so stable.
probably, yeah, because it's not really getting, you know, the road is intercepting a lot of the uphill runoff that's being collected into the inlet system, and you can tell down at the corner there's an inlet, some riprap, and a little ditch that comes through that cuts off the corner. So my bet is a lot of the uphill drainage is basically bisecting this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Vice Chairman, couple questions. Based upon what Mr. Decker said with regard to the forestation, is that consistent with the consensus here? No,
I was just gonna ask a question, you mentioned a quarter acre, you said, I guess you just did a quick.
I just, all I did was I did kind of a quick link coming up, if you wanna focus the vegetation on the downhill side by the road. If I took, it's about, say, 600 feet, 20 feet wide, you get about a quarter of an acre.
Right, but that wouldn't be all brand new trees, because the trees and shrubs there are.
You already have some.
Just saying,
So-
as long as that quarter acre.
Right,
Make
that's-
sure it's kind of a fuller buffer.
And that's where we can work with the applicant's engineering, and my last week architect work with them, so that it's not just saying that, okay, you're gonna put trees every 10 feet on center, or whatever, it's gonna be, okay, you have a couple trees here, we're gonna respect that, and we'll.
And find the holes in it.
Correct. We'll basically plug the holes.
Right, I wouldn't wanna put a condition that they need to place 250 trees.
And it can also, you know, the ordinance may require a certain caliber tree, but we can also go down in size of the caliber tree and put in smaller, mix the size up a little bit, because the smaller trees are less expensive, but the smaller trees are, they have a better spot, they bounce back and establish themselves much quicker.
I need a clarification. You said put trees along the road as opposed to down the slope?
Well, the road is down the slope. So not along the road itself, but along the right of way.
Right, but how about down the bottom of the site itself?
You gotta remember that there's like the upper section of the road, and then there's the lower section. And we're talking about lower section.
This section, and
Okay,
straight in there.
okay. Thank you.
But built in, I think, well,
But the,
trees, not in the Shimon.
for the benefit,
To a point,
Right.
too small and you can try and get that.
for the benefit.
You're gonna be down a little bit.
For the benefit of the applicant, I wanna make sure that the board was happy with Mr. Decker's summary. Then I'm gonna ask the applicant if they're okay with that, because I think in fairness to the applicant, because it's clear the forestation is the issue, the applicant should have the opportunity to either say they agree with this general summary and then apply, or if they want to ask for a postponement, because they want to provide additional information. So that's my question, is everybody okay with summary?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Borrell.
We are good in theory. My client just said that he was planning on doing this anyway. The only thing I would request, this is now the attorney speaking, be a little flexible with the language of the condition, because I'm not an engineer, I don't know how this 20 feet work out, but I would be nervous that it's so restrictive of trees have to be in a certain place, and maybe with a county, easement, or I don't want to be in a position where we have to come back because the footage isn't exactly what it is. So we are all on the same page. So I would just ask some.
So in the past, what we had is we set a condition, whereas Mr. Decker and the applicant work together to implement a plan, I believe, and we're okay with something like that, right?
And if we can't come to terms afterwards, then we come back.
Right.
And I think to what was mentioned before, I think we're looking at a variety of plants, you're looking at some understory and some overstory, so. When you're looking at shrubs and stuff like that, to kind of fill in the cost. We'll mix it up.
Are we good? 2 thumbs up.
So do I hear, so first of all, we have to clarify who's gonna be able to vote on this? You've got 2 alternates now.
We have 9 people, that's not, right,
So
we're not, we're okay.
So we're okay with everybody voting.
Right.
Okay.
So, just for some guidance, Mr. Vice Chairman, you can solicit a motion to grant or deny.
Correct.
Grant with various conditions. Presumably, I'll have to set the resolution, the conditions are as set forth in Mr. Decker's review letter as modified at the hearing today. And then, of course, the forestation issue is gonna be a little bit in flux.
Right. So with that, do I hear a motion, either for or against this application? And granting the variances, the 6 variances.
Or a motion with less than 6 variances.
I'll make a motion to grant all 6 variances as discussed. Along with the forestation, condition
approval laid out by Mr. Decker.
I think,
Well, all conditions in his letter, all.
conditions.
Discussed here today.
right, well, we might add more conditions after you make your motion.
As part of the memorializing resolution that council and I will go over.
Okay, so Mr. Nelson's made a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dolan.
Mr. Nelsson. And, now,
Roll call.
roll call vote, but.
Hold on, any further discussion based upon the motion that was made that was amended at this time?
Right. So another condition that I would add to that is that the replacement septic field should be modified to reflect what would actually be used there.
We need to add the escrow, or that just procedure? That's always part of the condition, absolutely. That's the same. That's the, yeah, absolutely.
I think that
Again, when I have the proposed resolution done and I've worked it out with the applicant at the next meeting, I don't know if it's gonna happen in 2 weeks. At the next meeting that's up, if you guys, review it, and it's not consistent with what you did today, you let us know.
so did you have anything else that you wanted to add to the condition?
No, just, make sure that what we discussed here is reflected in.
Okay, does anybody else have any conditions that we might have missed? We do want to minimize disturbance as much as possible. Obviously, you're going to be dealing with soil conservation on that, but, and I think with that, we can take the roll call.
Certainly. Mr. Reyes.
With the condition, noted, I would vote yes.
Mr. Bellon.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Messenger.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Di Lorenzo. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Ms. Parleon.
Yes.
And Vice Chairman Maderos.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a good.
Yeah, that's a begin. Not done.
This guy, that's good. I'll do it. Yeah. Needed from the past. Good boy, actually, no. I took over. Young days. I think. I think it's. And then. Okay. That's what it was. Yeah.
But how about these?
Well, it's in the same spot. Because you must want Yeah. Good news for Tommy. Hey, Tom, good news, they didn't have their escrow, so you get paid. If he doesn't get me, right, yeah. That's where's the money?
All right, everybody. All right, thank you for handling this. It was a challenge.
Okay.
I will tell you,
Have a great night, everybody.
sitting on the outside looking in for a hearing, you see the strength and the weakness. I think everybody should do it something like this. No way. It's very interesting. So,
You did it for a year and a half.
so, need a motion over the call.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anything, Charlie, anything?
Motion to close.
Yeah.
Come on, don't hesitate.
Well, I was trying to think. So, for the environmental commission, Monica gave me the time of when she needs our comments. But I'm gonna request that it be done. If we can make our comments required after the site walk. From going forward somehow.
Again, there's the law is we allow the environmental commission to make comments. But unfortunately, the sidewalk is the Saturday prior to the meeting. And so it's not giving you much time. I get it.
The
Or-
site walk always has to be that one Saturday.
And that's what you can do, is you can stand on the road. Not enter the property part of the sidewalk, you can stand on the road and you can look at conditions that they might want to address in the letter that's sent to us. That's the only thing we can do, we're not changing.
So,
the sidewalk,
make-
things like-
Which rule is it that the site walk is a Saturday before the?
Because that's what we decided for years.
Oh, so it's a township.
It's his board, he set it up.
Yeah.
But primarily Frank Monday. And conditions that are on the site, basically the weekend prior to the meeting, it's fresh in everybody's minds. And so if you start going out 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month out, everybody's kind of not remembering conditions.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, the hearings for is the members of the board, whether it's the board of adjustment or the planning board. make that decision.
So ANJAC highly recommends the site walk be done before the environmental commission reviews and makes their comments, which makes sense. So it alludes to the fact that there technically could be a different site walk that we could request.
You can always come here and make your comments after the sidewalk as the environmental commission.
No, she wants the comments
Hold on, there's nothing stopping you from coming as you are today, and you do what we to comment on anything that you want as an individual, or as a member of the environmental commission. I think the rationale for doing it 2 days before too is also because there's less likelihood of the condition of the property being changed. If you do it weeks or months before, the conditions could have changed. So it's a discretionary decision by the board, and I think.
So ANJAC recommends a site walk before our comments. So what is your recommendation to the environmental commission?
Okay, so what I sent out from an administrative perspective is that I recommend that you have your comments or report to me prior to, so that I can send it out, so that the board has ample opportunity to review that. That doesn't mean that the Monday of, you can certainly send it to me. It's just not gonna be reviewed as heavily as if it was before. And then, so something that could be done, and I may be speaking out of turn, tell me if I am, but do your report from the submitted documents. And then, any representative of the environmental commission that goes out on the site walk to come and make those comments ancillary to that. That's the only way to, I would say.
So
But my reason for saying the date that I gave you
Yeah.
is much more about administrative and making sure that the board has ample opportunity to review
Okay.
and give weight to your comments.
Okay, which you did tonight, which was great, but I'm just trying to understand how best to manage this, because the site walk was very enlightening. And it is every time, every single site walk I've gone on, you see things that are not on the plans. So I'm gonna call ANJAC also to see what their recommendation is. But and maybe it will be that, I send in some amended report.
Absolutely, you have every right to do that. You have the right to amend it right now at 9:40.
Well,
I mean,
technically-
go to the public hearing.
Well, technically not, because so we have a site plan subcommittee in the environmental commission now. So technically, I would have to review those because I'm representing the environmental commission, not me.
That's up to the commission, but you can, up until the public hearing on the application is closed, you can come in and submit and comment.
From okay, so maybe that's what I might try to do going forward, because.
The other thing is that this was, as a residential property, it's kind of unique.
in that there were so many environmental constraints on this. When you have a site plan, they will require an environmental impact statement that they'll provide to you to review and so forth. Now, you know, obviously there's still a site visit, and you, I can tell you, you have some applications coming up where the site visits are gonna be
Crucial.
crucial. Okay. The other reason why they have the meeting on the Saturday before is that the board has my report in hand to bring up any issues that they may wanna take a look at in the field.
Yeah, I understand, and I
There's
know,
a certain amount of days by law that we have to move applications.
yeah, I get it all.
On her works 2 days a week,
Mhm.
so it has to be on her work schedule for here. So you can't send something Friday if she's not working on Friday, because.
Well,
So
I
you
might,
have to work within, she works Monday and Wednesday.
so it might have to be sent on the Monday of the meeting then, if that's gonna have to be
So how many members are on the?
two.
Two. So
Because we can't have a quorum and we don't have enough members.
so how many members do you have?
I forget how many. we
Okay,
have
so
access.
two, if you could bring both members to the site walk. That way you can discuss whether or not you want to change anything that you discussed. That you've already, looked at.
Ideally, I totally agree, but I can only tell myself to go. Um, But I will try, and I think sounds like the best, as long as I'm allowed, you know, the environmental commission is allowed to amend what we've submitted.
And you're always allowed to say that in comment, too.
Well, I'm kind of commenting tonight on my own, not representing the environmental commission. I wrote the letter to represent the environmental commission, so. It will be something that I'll have to try to figure out, I guess, but I will call Anjek and see what their recommendation is. So, thank you.
Charlie,
Motion to close public portion?
Second.
over there, aye. All right, good meeting minutes for May 1/26.
I wasn't there, but I just had a question. Was Jose there, Reyes there or not? Because at the end, he's helping adjourn.
He was not.
Okay.
Good catch.
That was a really good. If he was here in spirit, the Zoom wasn't working.
Just like me, right?
Zoom wasn't working, so he wasn't present, but he wasn't absent. I don't know how to say that. Who?
Is it he and?
BARLY or some meeting minutes. You may not have meeting minutes because you weren't here. but- Yeah, that's it, flip it over. Take them in the mayor bounce.
Yes, it is. I
The
apologize.
second paragraph on.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You know,
You can say that I seconded the adjournment if you want.
I'll just go back and listen
Maybe it
again.
was the same.
Did what?
Sure.
We won't get it.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'm not making any seconds anymore, but there's a. I think that was somebody else.
Okay, motion to close.
So moved.
I'll second those changes.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstentions? Yeah,
Her extension.
okay.
Jose, you abstained, right?
So, we don't have any members of the governing body present. Front of you is your new books, take them home, use them.
Thank you.
Wait. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Cindy for all her help so far. Got a little bit more to go. We still have to memorialize everything, and but thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you.
Just that, I wanted to let the board know that we were able to, I went through the escrows. I found 3 that we were able to close out. Checks are out. That's done. We have 2 that have been inactive for 6 or more months. I sent out information. Are you planning on proceeding? If not, do you want to close out your escrow? Both of them plan on resubmitting in the next 2 to 4 weeks. And then, I'm just doing an ongoing, and I went through and I found 3 that are much older. We're talking like 3-4 years ago that are still open. So I'm gonna look to close those out, trying to make that a habit as to just closing them out as soon as we can. And then obviously the books and, yeah, that's it. Oh, and we had 1 abandoned, so not withdrawn, just abandoned. So I was able to close that out as well.
That's it.
That's a tough one, correct.
Yeah. It's great to have a new member.
Motion to adjourn.
I was going back for it.
No problem.
I just